today we're talking about like the best tips for a recording session, and I really have two things that I want to share here. First one is like a bit of a mindset thing, and the other one is more like a hands-on technical thing that someone can try right away.
Hey there, music makers. I'm Hayes Griffin.
I'm Magnus and Hayes.
And welcome to Mandolin Secrets Live, a bi-weekly show where we take a deeper look at what's happening in the world of mandolin secrets. Each episode will tackle our question of the week, unpack the latest mandolin secrets lessons, and answer your questions about mandolin, guitar, and all things music. In this week's episode, we're going to be discussing our questions of the week. What microphones do you prefer for live shows? Do you use a pickup on your acoustic mandolin? If so, which one? We're going to be checking out Magnus's new music video and lesson videos for Waltz of the Dreams. And then I think Magnus has got a bit of a question to kind of kick us off here in a bit. But before we do that, be sure to head to mandolinsecrets.com/live to sign up for reminders about our upcoming streams. And if you can't tune in live, never fear. Just search Mandolin Secrets Live on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to get updates when we release a new episode. But let's get back to that little question I think Magnus has for us to get things kicked off here.
Yeah, today we're interested to hear what is your best tips for a recording session. And I think this is a question that we posted to the community. We got a lot of different kind of answers to it. People are like approaching a recording session in different ways, so to speak. But I mean, it's like a very like amplified moment being in the studio, seeing there. You know this expression, the red button syndrome. Right.
Yes, I have it, actually. I'm afflicted with the red button syndrome.
Once more, afflicted? What that is?
Afflicted, I have the red button syndrome.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, I use that word like amplified moment, but I mean, it's being in the storm of the eyes, sort of as a musician. And I think it's one of these moments that we also live for in one way. So, and I actually have my tips for this, and I have two tips. First one is like a little bit like mindset related. And because I think that actually needs, out of reading all the comments that came through, I was thinking about this thing that helped me. And then I have another tip that is more like hands-on mandolin, guitar related, which someone can try straight away. So, but why not like start hearing some of the comments that came in from the community?
Yeah, so the kind of number one comment that I remember seeing here, and I'm looking at it right now, so I know it's true, is that you should have all of your material practiced and ready to go as soon as you hit the recording studio.
Yeah.
I think I totally feel this one as well. You know, people were kind of emphasizing the fact that, and I think to go along with that red button syndrome thing that you were talking about, it's a stressful situation inside of the recording studio naturally anyway.
Yeah.
So the general consensus was that like if you can play all of your tunes without even thinking about it before you go into the recording studio, then the stress of the situation isn't going to affect it to where you can't get a good take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was definitely like the number one comment. You know, so many people posted that one over and over again.
Yeah.
And then some of the other ones were like, you know, make sure you get up every now and again and stretch, or you don't drink too much coffee so you're not too jittery, you know, that kind of stuff.
I want to like just make a point for that one, that knowing the stuff that you're actually going to record, you know, it's such a common thing that as I also know you can probably relate to this, that after you made the kind of release tour, you always wish that, I wish that it was now that we were about to record the album.
I've always felt the same way.
Yeah. Because, I mean, normally we write the music or arrange or and rehearse and record the music. Then we go out to play it in front of the people and meet an audience. And after doing that for 10 to 20 shows, the music is most often better at that point.
It is very dialed in, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but sorry, I interrupted you because I think you were...
Oh, no, that's okay. Good, man. Yeah. That was, I think that falls right in line with some of the other advice that we've seen here.
Yeah. But it's, and it's so true. And also this, because I also saw one comment that is a fact being in the studio, that it also, quite often it costs you a lot of money to actually hire a studio. And being there, and for every hour that you spend in the studio, the bill is just going to be bigger. That is also can be a stressful thing.
I think so, yeah. And compounded with the fact, say you get to the studio and you didn't quite practice your tune as much as you could have, there's like all of these elements that are adding stress to your situation. Like, oh man, I didn't practice well enough. And oh man, now it's costing me so much money because I have to record the tune 3 times now instead of 2 times, and all that kind of stuff. So it's like this stress that can just like eventually bog you down,
Yeah. But the one tip that I was thinking of, the mindset related, is because I also, out of reading all the comments, I think it's very easy for us to go into the studio and being prepared for the recording with a big T, the recording, but I think what helped me for taking a little bit of the pressure and out of it is seeing, because as a matter of fact, it's going to be one of the recordings, just one of the many recordings you're doing in your lifetime on your musical journey, kind of. So something to keep in mind that, yes, if we record this today, it will be better after we've done the tour, but it's not, maybe we get a second try, or can you see what I'm trying to say? That it's, because we're very focused on producing a result being in the studio. But that can really damage the experience.
I think so. I totally get what you're saying. And I think for me personally, to get through that kind of thing that you just brought up, I always remind myself that every time you go into the recording studio, it's kind of like, how when you go on vacation with your family in the summertime, everybody gets together and you take a picture. Right?
Yeah.
There's a picture to commemorate family vacation.
Yeah.
The recording studio is just that picture. It's it is here to document who you are and where you are at this point in time. And there will be more pictures in the future,
That is a perfect way to frame it. And it's like a snapshot of so I think, yeah, that's actually a much better way to explain what I try to say. But yeah, I love that. And also, as Hayes pointed out, and also what I'm trying to say, we will get another chance. We will get more chance. And just seeing, I mean, also when you're into the journey as I am, and Hayes, who's been doing this for over 25 years, we can see the progression of the results that came out of the studio also. So that's just a very interesting way to see it, because being in the studio can also be one of the most creative thing to as a music maker. And I think I started also this thing. It's the moments that I'm also living for, because it's such an good thing.
Yeah, and it's something that you can do so many things in the studio that you can't do as a live musician, right? So it's kind of cool to have that. It's almost like you're picking up a new instrument, and the instrument is the studio at that point, right? To put your track together. I'm with you. It's a very exhilarating thing for me now that I've kind of gotten over the red button syndrome a little bit. And, yeah.
Yeah. And actually, that ties directly to the next advice that I have about what you can actually do in a studio. That is not something you can't do live, so to speak. And it's actually one technique that I actually used for my latest release, Waltz of the Dreams. So I did release this. It's just like 10 days ago. It's available on all streaming platforms. And let us first have a short listen to the tune, and then I can drop my little tip that I'm using there. See if I find the video file. Here is Waltz of the Dreams. Yeah, I'm rounding it off there, but it's actually...
No, don't stop it. Don't stop it.
It's a tune that I wrote many, many years ago. I think 17 years ago. And it's not until now that I get a proper recording of it. And Karen is pointing out, Magnus, I now know how you get so much done. There's two of you. And I'm playing both octave mandolin and mandolin in the recording, but also in the video. So that's what it's a good point. But one trick that I use a lot when being in studio, that is overdubbing. And having an octave mandolin, I like to, if I'm playing a melody or a chord sequence or something like that on the mandolin, I like to play the exact same thing on the octave mandolin because that's, and so people won't know, they won't listen back to it, they won't notice the octave mandolin, they will only hear the mandolin sort of, but behind that I'm filling up with the octave below. And that is actually a very cool technique that I want to leave here as a tip for the recording session. Someone can try it out if you own an octave mandolin, of course.
That's pretty awesome, man. So I've heard this before. Did you get that tip from someone yourself, or is this a technique that you know what I mean? Were you inspired by someone to kind of take that technique, or did you just discover it?
I kind of discovered it. I know it's people that are producing pop songs and things like that. They can do overdubbing for acoustic guitars. I think I read something about that because they're playing a rhythm track on the guitar, and then they are panning that one to the left speaker only. Then they are recording the same kind of the same part, so to speak, most often on like another instrument, or maybe putting the capo on another plate, so it gives a little bit different voicing. And then playing the same thing, and then they are like panning them to one to the right and one to the left. It gives a very like stereo effect. Because I mean, also naturally, what will happen? You don't play it identically, like 100%, right? So it's
So there's maybe even like a little bit of a chorus effect or something like that on it too, on certain notes. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm stealing that one. Here, let me write that down.
No, but I think that's what I like try to experiment with it, and also like recording with my trio, where the mandolin is very like up front, sort of, but then I don't do the panning effect because that will kind of reveal the secret, sort of. But just like, and the thing is, for the octave mandolin, you can actually mix it quite loud, even that you're not thinking of it, because your ears is like pointed towards the mandolin.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I heard something that like the human ear hears treble sounds as louder, even though they're not louder, just the way that like hearing works, you know what I mean? So it's like a brain trick or something.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's so, because in reality, that's how it worked for me. And actually also another tip that I wanted to give that is related to this, to Waltz of the Dreams. Also, when I'm recording harmonies for a tune, I like to play the harmony on my second mandolin. So, and yes, to also to spread the sounds apart a little bit. It's almost like doing the mixing while you're recording it, so to speak.
Yeah.
And also I like choosing the instruments consciously here, because some of my mandolin have a more like a way of cutting through, where the other mandolin has a more like laid back tone quality. So for this one, I actually recorded the harmony on my flat top mandolin and the melody on the arch top. So actually, I want to like listen back to the clip like 30 seconds again, and noticed, so there's actually 3 instruments here. It's the mandolin playing the melody. There's the second mandolin playing the harmony. Then there's the octave mandolin, who is playing the harmony but 1 octave below.
Yeah.
So it's the 3 voices like that. Just for playing the same part again, and no one of you were thinking about this the first time. Maybe now that you know about it, you will like just see what it's like. Yeah, you know
that's beautiful, man. Yeah. So on the second listen, you're giving away all your secrets here on today's episode, man. This is crazy. But no, that I could definitely hear the panning in those mandolins and everything now. You know what I mean? And you described the kind of qualities of the mandolin that you used for the lead part is definitely the Phoenix, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah, like you can hear that harmony part. It's got like a slightly rounder sound, which I think lets the melody cut through over top of it.
Exactly,
a little bit. You know, that's so good, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the instruments have their own EQ, and I like using that. So it makes it very easy to mix, like in the post production, but it's also something to just keep in mind when recording that like choosing the instrument will be like the right tool for the job, sort of.
I love that. Yeah. Man, like I said, I'm taking notes here today, man. This is great stuff.
Cool. Yeah, so that was the mindset, and then the little hands-on tips for recording. But you had even more questions.
Oh man, we've got so many questions we can plow through right now. Yeah. The other one, this is kind of related, probably more for a live setting, but some people record with pickups. But the other question of the week that we had the week before this one was, do you use a pickup on your acoustic mandolin? If so, which one? And that one we got, I actually, so full disclosure to everyone listening to this episode, I was kind of trolling a bit here because like anytime you bring up the acoustic mandolin with a pickup thing on it, you always get people who are very like, I would never put a pickup on my acoustic mandolin. And then you get people who are like, like I only play my acoustic mandolin with a pickup, and everything in between. And there was like, luckily we have such a great group of people on Facebook. It was kind conversation, but, but there were definitely opinions, you know what I mean? And some of the stuff that rose to the top, people were kind of like leaning toward, what was it? The K&K or the, LR Baggs Radius was another one that kept coming up. Have you ever used I don't think you have a pickup in your acoustic mandolin right now, except for your flat top, right, Magnus?
Actually, I have pickups in all my mandolins.
Nice. Yeah, a man after my own heart here. What are you using? I'm
using the K&K twin pickups for both my Phoenix and for the octave mandolin.
Great.
I'm getting like pretty decent results from them. And I mean, I like even like blending them with an like clip-on mic or something like that. So
that's what I do too.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it's the pickup gets you the volume that you need on stage, and then that microphone gets you some of that extra sparkle that like fills out the tone.
Yes.
That's kind of the system that I prefer. On my acoustic guitar, I use the K&K Trinity system, they call it, which has an internal mic and the pickup.
That is actually the one that I have in my octave mandolin also.
I thought so, because in the video for Waltz of the Dreams, I thought I saw a little gooseneck.
That is the one,
poking out. I can. For those of you that are watching the video version here, I've got like my guitar here, and you can see the little guy poking out of the sound hole there.
Yeah. And just to make it clear what we mean blending them with a clip-on mic, because there's different ways, but these pickups that were like that gives more like a high density kind of tone. That is, and it's not maybe the most pleasant tone out of it, but it's like Hayes said, it can give you the volume that you need. But a clip-on mic is putting like a real condenser microphone or so I have this what is I using the DPA 4099. That is a very common one.
That was the worst decision I ever made in my musical career, was selling my DPA 4099. I need to get that microphone back.
But it's a good one, and it's not that feedback sensitive. But just to answer Elliot's question, what we mean. So we're like blending those two signals. So a little bit of air and some acoustic qualities out of the clip-on mic. With this more like compact sounding, high density pickup sound.
Yeah,
and
it's almost this. It's like a live version of that trick you were using in the studio by like doubling apart with an octave mandolin and a mandolin or whatever. Because like you're kind of just tricking the listener's ear into thinking they're listening to a fully acoustic tone, even though a lot of it comes from that pickup, right?
Yeah, and so that is, and I'm not using the pickup every time. Sometimes we're using like open mics, but I think it's very good to, or for me, it really helps me so I don't have to, I can go on stage and be like satisfied in all situations, kind of, even like, yeah, I'm equipped for different situations, basically.
Yeah. I feel a bit exposed ever since I got my new mandolin, by the way, because it does not have a pickup on it. So,
yeah,
if I get the call for a gig, I might have to. I feel bad drilling into my new red diamond mandolin, so I might try out that. Because somebody was mentioning the I'm going to forget the name of it again. The LR Bags Radius.
Yeah,
that's what Sierra Hull uses, and it's just like you can stick it to the top of your mandolin with some like putty.
Yeah, the Shirtler had the same. Like that one is also used by many.
Yeah, that's a great sounding. I've heard a few guys play that one over the years, and it's a great sounding pickup.
Yeah, I think you point out a good point there. If I had this really fancy instruments, maybe a red diamond, maybe there's the threshold. I wouldn't drill into it either, you know. So I'm playing like, it's quality instruments, but the Phoenix mandolins aren't like very, very expensive, and I'm fine like experimenting a little bit with them. In a way that I wouldn't do with a very expensive instrument, probably.
Well, and it's one of those things now, like, if you did buy like one of the $15,000 F models or something like that, you could have that one as your acoustic instrument and then keep the Phoenix for if you have the plug-in gig, right?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But also to make, I think we're almost ready to leave the pickup question. But I want to point out that in my flat top, I have another system. I'm using the Highlander. That is like a piezo mic that is built into the bridge. Then on my Phoenix Jazz, that one actually got a magnetic pickup.
Oh,
so there are 3 different, 4 different pickup solutions if I'm including the octave mandolin. And they all have their pros and cons. There isn't like the best pickup, but.
I think that's a great point to leave this conversation on, because anytime you get into the realm of gear, people always have very strong opinions, and it's like, actually, there's just no right answer for everyone. You just got to figure out what's good for you, you know?
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Nice.
Well, if we're plowing forward, the last thing on the list, I think, was talking about some microphones for recording sessions. That was another point that we kind of wanted to bring up in today's episode, since we're all kind of gear and recording themed here.
Yeah.
What are you using? So like, going back to maybe Waltz of the Dreams, because I know that you recorded all that stuff acoustically. What kind of setup were you using to record those instruments? Like microphone wise?
Yeah, the microphones I was using is actually the same mic as I'm talking into right now. It's a Neumann KM184.
Fancy.
And I'm actually recording most of my mandolin tracks in stereo tracks. I like a stereo setup for the mandolin, because it's such an it's very like depending if I'm pointing the mic towards the bridge, towards the 12th fret, towards the F hole. It's very but to get the full sound the way that I hear the mandolin, I like using like an XY mic to get a little bit broader. You know, I don't have the right terms.
No, I think that makes total sense to me, because we hear with 2 audio input sources, so it makes sense for the recording session to take 2 audio input sources to kind of mimic that. I think I try to do that when I'm recording as well. I usually record in stereo. I have a bit of a different setup than you. Do you have 2 KM184s that you record with then? Yeah, that's awesome, man. A lot of the times I'm using a stereo, like an XY pattern, but with 2 Shure SM81s. Which is exactly, here, I see if I can do the same thing that Magnus did, that microphone.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of for those of you out there that are kind of on a budget for your recording sessions, the SM81 is not a bad microphone because they can be had for relatively cheap, and they're good small condenser microphones.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Neumann KM184 is like an industry standard microphone though, so that's good stuff.
It is good stuff, and I even like recorded with like large diaphragm. What do you call this? Large
diaphragm. Yeah,
large diaphragm mics in studio sometimes, but
I usually use those for my acoustic guitar. I like the sound of a stereo large diaphragm setup on my acoustic guitar, like usually one maybe around the neck joint on the guitar and then one toward the bridge, to kind of get that full sound that you're talking about.
That is also... but it's... but I think also the main thing here is... Because when we're like going into this, like choosing the gear for your recording and all that, it's very... easy to get picky here and get a little bit anxious. Is this good enough? Am I? And my best advice, if you want to start recording, is use the technology you do have. Or
exactly,
yeah, because and to build like an. I'm now leaving the subject a little bit, but if you want to like record things at home. To build like a simple, well-working home studio recording like mandolin and guitar music, it doesn't require too much really. You can get a long way with only one mic even.
I did for probably 7 or 8 years, and it wasn't even a great mic. It's right here. Let me see if I can get it. Nah, never mind. It's too far away. I just used one of those Audio-Technica. What's the model number on this one? It's like $130 microphone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my old teacher used to say, kind of related to what you were just saying there, Magnus, that if you put gold in, you'll get gold out. And it doesn't matter what the microphone is. So if your playing sounds good and your instrument sounds good, the microphone is the least of your worries, right?
Yes, for sure. And I mean, this is also something that actually me and Hayes reminds ourselves about. Now that we're recording this podcast, or what do we call it? There is like 10 recommendations for what mics you should use for a podcast. And I tell you what, the Neumann KM184 is not one of them.
Neither is the Shure SM81.
No. I mean, but
we're breaking the rules.
We're breaking the rules. And did you feel are you like disappointed at us for not using the right podcast microphone? I'm testing you now, but I think you know the answer.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's easy to get sucked into that, because there's so many list articles and content creators that are trying to talk about this stuff. It gets in the way of the functionality
exactly
of it.
Yeah, and yes, the fact that we can. I like to think of that. Like, I mean, I love listening to old recordings, even like the Robert Johnson stuff or the Django Reinhardt stuff, and I mean how in a way so simple. The technology were for recording that stuff, and it's gold in and it's gold out. So
exactly. No, people would they love those Django recordings because he was an amazing guitar player and he played amazingly into the microphone. I think when I was younger, I definitely noticed, like, why is there that sound in the background of all those recordings, But you get over that pretty quickly, don't you?
Yeah.
That's great, man.
Yes. Well, I think that actually what we wanted to share with you today, and thanks for everyone showing up live. You can see Marianne, Karen, Elliot.
Yeah, we had a ton of folks
Ian.
with us today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in, folks.
No, we were a little bit hesitant on that because we're a bit earlier than normal, but really nice to see people are showing up, even if it's a bit... Okay. Ah, yeah. Yes, it feels good. Yeah, but thanks everyone, and hope you had some value out of these tips. Just to like repeat them a little bit once more. Don't think that what you're recording today is not the recording. It's just one of the very many recordings that you're doing. You have the chance to record. And also for talking about the pickups and the mics and all that, don't let the gear fear stop you. I mean, using what you have at hand is probably, yeah, it's good enough to do the work. Yes, it's... Yeah, last thing I want to say here. Just remember, be a music maker.